Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing well and they are blessed. First of all, I want to thank everyone that reached out yesterday via text or phone call regarding the plane crash that happened in our city. We do live in San Diego County and we live in a small town called Santee, and there was a plane crash yesterday about 2 miles from our house. Everyone is okay, but I want to, just prayers and blessings for all the people that were involved and the 2 people that they know so far that lost their lives. That just goes to show you, we have to stay prayed up. And, me doing these videos, trying to do something that I love, if you're not doing something that you love, I encourage you guys to, go for it. Why not? Hopefully the technology is going to work well for me today. That's not like, I'm not an expert, but I do try. So anyway, I want to get into this video. And I have a couple points that I want to touch on. I had some follow-up questions from my last video. So in this video, I'm going to talk about kids and money again. Paid chores is the main focus. And first one is, how do I set prices for the paid chores? Does the age matter? And then I'm also going to talk about, what if they don't do a good job? And then the other thing that I'm going to focus on is how I pay my kids, when and, by what means and things like that. So anyway, let's get into this video. So the first thing is, how do I set the prices for the paid chores that my kids do? Well, it just depends. So my kids right now, the 2 that are at home, are 13 and 15. I talked to them a little bit about minimum wage, so that's one thing that I consider. So here in California, it's $13 or $14, depending on how many employees employers have. So I talked to them about minimum wage, how much they can make an hour if they went out and got a job. And then I also try to find out about how much stuff costs. Like if I'm doing yard work or if I'm doing a project, and say I want to pay my kids instead of paying somebody else, I may find out how much that project costs or for somebody else to do it, and then I'll gauge it from there. So for example, like sometimes I might have my kids do cleaning in the yard, and I might pay them $15 an hour, or I might pay them per project. So it just depends. I know that labor work here in California, I haven't had anybody come to my house recently, but it's like $15 to $20 an hour for a laborer. I usually pay a little bit more, just depending on the project, and then also if they do a good job. So that's another thing that I'm going to touch on. Sometimes I have my kids wash cars. They wash our car. Sometimes I gauge it on, well, how much does it cost for me to go get a car wash? If I get a basic wash, or if I go and get, the Supreme wash, that might be, one wash might be $6, the other one might be $10. So it really just depends. It depends on what you're having them to do. And then a lot of times I try to talk to them beforehand about what the job is and how much they're going to get paid. So they also kind of know the expectation. If you have a younger kid and you're having them do some work, maybe they're raking up leaves or something like that. They probably don't know what minimum wage is, but you can come up with the fair price for them, to rake leaves. And the more you do it, the better the understanding between the 2 of you about how much you're willing to pay for that job. So I hope that makes sense. Some examples of other things that I get my kids to do is like cut the grass. So my youngest usually likes to cut the grass, so I may pay her, depending our yard is pretty small, but if she cuts the whole yard, I might pay her 10 to 15, depending on what she does. Or if she only cuts part of the yard, I might pay her 5, and then pay her 5 the next time, or, just depending. And then if she trims some of the bushes, or I also look at how thick the grass is, or how much weeds, like if she pulls weeds, if she does that, then I add on a little bit more. Last week I was out of town, and she ended up doing a little bit extra with our 2 dogs. And so one of our dogs takes medication, And then I usually walk them every day. So I gave her like $5 a day for that, because she gave the medication in the morning, their vitamins at night, and then a quick walk. So, you know, nothing too crazy, but over the course of 4 days, it added up. So I'll probably elaborate more on that in another video, or if you guys shoot me a question about what job you might have, like what do you think is fair depending on their age and what the job is, I can kind of help you out on that. So as far as whether or not they do a good job, I think it's always best to have a conversation. Have a conversation with them and let them know what your expectations are in the beginning, and then also have a conversation with them after on how they did and whether or not they did a good job. And it's really up to you if you want to say, hey, you know, I thought you were going to do a little bit better, or I thought you were going to, you know, do something more than what you did, and whether or not you want to say, okay, well, I'm only going to pay you $8 versus the 10. Or you might say, next time, you know, this is what I would like, and then you can still give them the $10, and then next time explain to them, you know, what your expectations are, and if they don't, you know, do the job to your expectation, then you can say, the next time I'm gonna take away some money. The other thing I wanted to touch on is, when do I pay my kids? So for us, I have this chart at our house. Let's see if you guys can see that. So we have this chart, and it has paid chore earnings, and I do it per month. I have both my kids' names on there. You see my one daughter's already busy. I pay them per month because I know they already have money. But if they didn't have money, and say they're just working up to building their savings or trying to get their money in their bank account, then I would probably pay them per week or per project. Sometimes I do pay them per project, especially if we're doing something big. Like say if we do a tree, and we have like a small tree that we want to, you know, cut down, or like dig up a bush or something like that, I might give them all the money, and that's like a big job. So they can make $30 to $50 just depending on how much effort they put into it. We're also using power tools. That's another thing that I consider, like what do they have to do, or what tools do they have to do to get the job done? You know, are they wiping baseboards and they're just using soap and water, or are they actually using like an electric saw? And like I said, my kids are a little bit older, so they can do some of these jobs. And then I also help them on the bigger jobs. I'm out there with them doing the jobs. So I keep track of it. I think it's good for me as well as for them. Once they do a job, I mark it on here so I know, okay, they did this job, and I mark it. I used to shade it all the way in, but it was too much to erase. And so I write it down right away. That way they know how much they're getting. They can see it. And then they also know how much more money they want to make per month. So that's the other thing. It's like, okay, if they have a goal and they want to make $100 in that month, and it's like the 15th of the month, and they only have $5, then they can also see, you know, how much more they need to make. So that's something to think about. And then also, as far as how I pay them, whether it's cash or put it in the bank. So sometimes, actually all the time, I usually ask them, how do you want your money? Because they may want to keep some money in their, you know, room, or, you know, take it with them when they go to school to buy whatever. So I ask them, do you want me to pay you cash, or do you want me to put it in your bank account? And maybe for the younger kids, maybe they don't have a bank account yet. You know, maybe they have a jar or something. So I usually ask my kids, what do they prefer? Or sometimes I'll just leave the money out in cash, and they may say, hey, can you put this in my account instead of giving me cash, because I'm saving, or I want to buy something on Amazon and I want the money in my account. So those are a couple of things that I do with them when it comes, you know, to when they get paid and how I pay them. So just to kind of recap, you know, we talked about the prices, and then we also talked about like if they don't do a good job, and then we also talked about you know, when do they get paid and how. So, you know, I love sharing this information with you guys. Like I said before, this is a journey. I am on this journey, and I'm glad that you're here with me. If you have any questions, or maybe some comments about what you might want to hear or you want me to elaborate on, just let me know, and I would, be more than welcome to, go ahead and do another video. I hope everyone has a blessed week and be safe.